So how do you actually monetize that? So obviously, you're building relationships, you're building trust.
If you keep going in this direction, if you lean into your natural empathy and generosity, then here are the rewards.
How do you think that changes the game for yourself as an introducer?
Tripling down on being as human as possible.
Hey, this is Mike from IntroStars, and today I'm super excited to bring a brand new episode of the Super Connectors podcast in New York City. And for today's episode, we've got a very special VIP guest, Matt, who helps many startups with their engineering team and also with their go-to-market motion. Matt, so good to have you on the show.
So nice to be here. Thank you so much, Mike, for having me.
My pleasure. And so today we're going to talk about super connectors.
Yes.
So what does it really mean for you to be a super connector, Matt?
I think there are a few ways to look at it. One is looking at the impact of someone who wants to play that role of a super connector. It's really accelerating things that should already happen. It's basically taking a look at people you know and recognizing these two people should meet. And if there's anything that I can do to just make that happen sooner, right? It's just a matter of time before their paths cross. And if I can facilitate that, all the better.
And so in your day-to-day life, I guess you make lots of introductions to really do that. Was there a time in your life where you thought, okay, I really enjoy making those introductions? And was there like a moment where you kind of started doing more and more introductions where at some point you thought, I'm a super connector now?
Yeah. So it's funny because I hadn't heard of that term at all until probably a year ago. For me, my entire life, I've definitely always been extroverted, really interested in people, meeting people. My fiance says I could make conversation with a wall if I had to. And really ever since I was a kid, I grew up with 3 older brothers. And I think being in that kind of raucous household environment meant I was always socializing and always having lots of friends and seeing all these different people in the mix. But it wasn't until last year I started attending more tech events. And literally in the first week that I started attending those, Taylor Zansberg, who's another fantastic person, invited me to a get-together at her apartment. My very first week, I walked into a room full of what she called super connectors. And to me, it was just a room full of amazing people who I got along with right away. And I saw the power of this person just inviting me on a whim. And next thing I knew, I had a community in this overwhelming tech space. One other example of a person who taught me what it means to be a super connector, Andy Linder, who I work with nowadays through a team called TCP, he will just randomly on a Tuesday put me in a group chat with another person he thinks I should meet and have us take it away. And that to me, that ability to just say, I may not even ask for permission because you should just trust me. You guys have to chat and you're going to love it. And I think that's really empowered me to take a more active stance as a super connector, making connections happen.
And so what are you working on today in your day-to-day jobs or multiple hats you're wearing where you actually make introductions as part of your day-to-day job?
Yeah, so these days my 2 main activities are helping early stage startups recruit their founding engineers and then also helping startups build out their GTM systems, their GTM strategy for identifying who they're trying to sell to, how do I reach those people at scale in creative ways. So there's definitely a lot of human connection involved in both of those, but I think the common thread between those two, I can get into it more, but I think the common thread is really having a deep understanding of, or a genuine desire to get people connected for the right reasons. So on the recruiting side, it's, hey, I think you're fantastic as, let's say, an engineer, and I think this is a really great company that I can stand by. You two should definitely meet. Who knows what will come of it? Of course, there's a benefit attached to, if a placement happens, but honestly, to me, that's secondary to just making or allowing people to meet who I think should really meet and we'll have a great conversation. And that's also true on the GTM side. It's really understanding for a company, if they have a really great product that genuinely provides value, it's who needs to know about that product, whose lives will be better because they know about that product, and then helping that company get the word out to those people.
So I love the fact that for you, both recruitment and sales is all about connecting people.
Yeah.
And really everything in the world, the whole way every business works is all about connecting people.
Yeah.
And so I'm also obviously putting all my efforts and energy on connecting people, because I think that's the most important thing we can do to help each other and make business thrive for everyone. So how do you actually monetize that? So obviously you're building relationships, you're building trust, you're building your personal brand as a really cool startup advisor. At some point you need to monetize, you need to pay your bills, create value as well. So how do you walk that fine line between, helping people, being genuine to yourself, having genuine relationships, and monetizing?
I definitely think there's some mix of like tactical elements to this of how you build a business. And for me as a startup advisor and like the owner of my own business, there's a lot that's tactical to that of how to acquire clients and all that kind of thing. But I think there's also a more like woo-woo spiritual element to this of some aspect of karma of if I really put forth more than anything else, this energy of I really want to understand people where they are. I really want to be helpful to those people, engage my empathy to really understand, okay, how can I be the best source of support here? Maybe it's being a sounding board. Maybe it is actually helping introduce them to, let's say it's a candidate, helping introduce them to a company that I work with. Maybe they're telling me, I don't want to work for a startup. And I'm saying, great, let's swerve this conversation from telling you about my companies to really understanding, okay, what companies do you want to work for? And this is what I'm seeing in the job landscape. So really engaging that empathy to understand first and foremost, what does this person right in front of me need? And having faith really that by doing that consistently and by trying to always be meeting new, interesting people and engaging with people from that empathetic place, you are going to naturally end up meeting the right people. And you're also going to naturally end up having ideas for who should be meeting out there. And I think there's inherent value in that. So whether it's, again, making a successful placement because there is a genuine fit on both sides,
Yep.
and the placement is sort of just like a monetary cherry on top to making something happen that was meant to, or whether it's on the GTM advising side where it's really getting to know the crossroads a company is at and saying, well, hey, I have some ideas for how I could materially help you with this GTM challenge you have, and I can use these skills, and okay, that generates value for you, and that's why I can charge for my service as well. So I think first and foremost is really just giving generously, and monetary value will come from that.
So I love if I can mention your spiritual element there. You really want to help others and put credits in your karma box, right? To really be a good person, improve your personal brand so people recognize you as a helper, as a connector, as a super connector, where it really elevates your personal brand, and then monetization will follow that automatically and naturally. And I think that's the case for lots of us, right? We're not doing for the money, but money is a natural result of building your personal brand and helping others, and always being a good advisor, right? Giving advice, helping, etc. So when you look at new platforms to track introductions like intro stars, we can track every introduction you make and receive and reward introducers or get rewarded yourself when a deal gets done. How do you think that changes the game for yourself as an introducer or for other people out there who want to become introducers?
I think when I took a look at intro stars, the symbolic meaning that it had for me as someone who really cares about connecting people is vindication. I think you look at that platform, and whether you're immediately using it and immediately seeing a financial benefit to making introductions, or whether you're taking a look and just getting a sense of what are the needs out there, what are some of the introductions that hypothetically it would be helpful to make, it's vindication in the sense that you look at it and you recognize, oh, me really putting this energy and care into my relationships does have meaning, does have value. Because I think often in the world, people might treat that kind of generosity or curiosity as a bonus, and you need to be a hardcore business person first and foremost. And if you're a nice person, okay, sure, great, but nice people finish last, people always say. And I think for a platform like Intro Stars to emerge, it really shows like, hey, wait a minute, you really should be that person. Lean into your tendencies of wanting to connect people, wanting to be generous with your networks, because there is a reward attached to it. So it doesn't need to be the reason why you make connections, but it is that evidence, which I think is really important, and that encouragement to say, hey, if you keep going in this direction, if you lean into your natural empathy and generosity, then here are the rewards.
Cool, yeah. I think I'm really exactly on the same page as you are. It's about empathy, helping people, and then getting a fair reward, fair compensation for your efforts in that relationship. And so what do you think are new trends in terms of networking, in terms of introductions? How is that changing with young people, Gen Z, who are coming straight out of college, not used to networking that much, on their phone all day? Now, how do you think that's changing the game for networking, introductions, building your network and your personal brand?
Yeah, so I think about this a lot. Obviously, AI is a huge topic, and not to be cheesy or say what everyone else in the world is saying, but the way that I think about this a lot is I think at some point, it could be very soon, we might have already crossed this threshold, but there's this threshold as a society, I think, where once we pass this point, I think everyone will assume that any interaction they have online is AI mediated in some way. Any email, any LinkedIn message, any LinkedIn post, people will look at it and their first instinct will be to say like, oh, this is AI generated, rather than this is a real person trying to reach out and connect authentically. And I think, who knows what connections through the internet at least look like past that threshold. I think it raises the bar a lot for anyone you meet for the first time online to have that convert into an actual authentic relationship. But I think it definitely puts a premium on any efforts that we make now, before we've hit that point, it's almost like there's this sensitive window before which people will just be a lot less trusting of any new relationships that they make. And so I think really doubling and tripling down right now in this moment on being as human as possible and really caring about forming genuine relationships with people and playing the long game, importantly, I think that will be absolutely critical.
So really building your brand as a great person, as a trusting person, as a great connector. So all of that will be crucial. So people don't think you're just an AI spam bot, right?
Exactly. Well, right. And,
Yeah.
and part of that also is how I think about personal brand. I think a lot about just who I am as a person, right? And how can I be myself, but online? It's like myself just in a new environment. And I think brand or reputation or anything like that will follow naturally. But it's really just thinking like, how can I distill the person that I try to be face to face, in a podcast recording, in a conversation at a bar with friends,
Yeah.
meeting someone new on the street, like translate that person to different environments. I think that's what it's really all about.
Exactly. And I think you're doing a great job so far. So tell us, tell people watching this, where can they follow you? Where can they find you or working on anything specific right now you'd like to share?
So as I mentioned, two things that I help companies with are recruiting founding engineers. I do that with a fantastic team called TCP, the Canon Project. And then on the GTM advising side, that has to do with Clay Consulting, GTM engineering, all these topics that are at the forefront these days with GTM. And that's through my own company called Terra Firma. You can look for me on LinkedIn. I don't post there very often. And when I do post, I try to make it useful, hopefully not very cringy. Again, trying to make it like me just online on this platform and making it just a little bit more human if I can.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Matt. Really enjoyed our conversation and hopefully we'll see you soon at many networking events.
Sounds good. Thanks so much, Mike.
Take care.